I walked out to my driveway and caught the HOA president shoving a so-called master key into the door of my cherry red F100 pickup, my truck, on my property. And when the key didn't work, she scratched the paint with her clipboard, dialed 911, and tried to have me arrested. 10 minutes later, it was her in handcuffs.
What?
Act 1. The Spark of Conflict. My name's Mark Miller. I'm in my early 40s, former military police. These days, I just want a quiet life garage, tools, some elbow grease, and my project truck. That F100 isn't just metal and chrome to me. It's a piece of my past. My best friend Jake and I rebuilt it before deployment, and he never made it back. So yeah, it means something. We moved to Lakewood Estates for Peachtree-lined streets, lake nearby, neighbors who smiled when you passed. But what we got instead was Patricia Hensley, or as everyone whispered, Karen, the HOA queen. Blonde bob, designer shades, clipboard surgically attached to her hand. Her husband, Richard, the treasurer, never spoke much, but he was always there, silent, looming. The guy who signed off on every fine she dreamed up. At first it was petty stuff. A notice about the color of our doormat. A warning for leaving the trash can out an extra hour. Noise violation because I had music on in the garage while sanding. Dumb, annoying, but manageable. Then she found a new obsession. My truck. She called it an eyesore, a work vehicle. She claimed it was improperly parked. I kept telling her it's registered, insured, and it's on my property. None of that mattered. To her, the bylaws were whatever she said they were. One Saturday, I heard a faint metal clink, walked outside, and there she was, Patricia, standing in my driveway with Richard hovering nearby, trying to shove a master key into the door of my F100. I froze for half a second, then shouted, "What the hell are you doing?" She didn't even flinch, just waved her clipboard. Article 7, Section C, Improper Vehicles. This truck is subject to impound. Impound, I barked. Lady, this is my driveway. That's my truck. Get your damn key out of it. When the key didn't work, she dragged the clipboard across the door, leaving a scratch in the paint. Richard added, "We'll impound it ourselves." I stepped closer, fists clenched. But the military training kicked in. I didn't lunge, didn't give her that satisfaction. Instead, I said calmly, "Smile. Patricia, you're on camera." She blinked. I pointed up brand new security cameras I'd installed just the week before. Her face twisted, and she did the unthinkable, pulled out her phone, dialed 911, and started fake crying. "Help, help. He's threatening me." 5 minutes later, squad car rolls up. Officers hop out. Patricia's crocodile tears flow like a faucet. Richard backs her up with a solemn nod. I kept quiet, waited for the right moment, then said, "Gentlemen, would you like to see the footage?" We pulled it up right there. Patricia jamming a key into my truck, scratching it, making the call. The cops turned on her so fast her head nearly spun, and just like that click, Patricia, HOA president, was cuffed for filing a false report and vandalism. I should have felt triumphant, but the smirk Richard shot me as they hauled her off told me this wasn't over. The next morning, I found a notice tucked under my windshield. Final warning, with a $1,000 fine. That's when I knew we were at war.
Ciao.
Act 2. Escalation and doubt. The fines came daily. Hedge too tall. Driveway has a crack. Oil stain from the truck that wasn't there. All invented. And it wasn't just me. My neighbor Louis, retired mailman, sweet guy with a yard full of gnomes, got slapped with a $1,000 fine for excessive lawn ornaments. They were crushing people, bleeding them dry until they either paid up or sold out. Then Richard hit me where it hurt. He filed a lien threat against my home. If it stuck, I could lose my credit, maybe even the house. I called Jake's brother Ben, who's a lawyer. He shook his head. HOA lawsuits are uphill battles. Mark, the bylaws shield them. You'll spend years in court. That night, sitting in my garage, staring at the scratched paint on the F100, I felt defeated. Maybe Patricia was right. Maybe I should sell, walk away, let them win. Was I the problem? Was I just being stubborn over an old truck and a patch of asphalt? For the first time, I thought about quitting, but then Louis came over with a flash drive. "Mark," he said quietly, "I think you should see this." On it, footage of Richard checking a P.O. box registered to a shell company, Chestnut Holdings LLC, the same company buying up foreclosed homes in our neighborhood. I dug deeper. Turns out Richard was funneling HOA money into this LLC, scooping up properties cheap, then flipping them. And it got worse. Emails showed a connection with Councilman Arthur Vance feeding Richard inside info about future highway expansion. They were deliberately driving families out so they could cash in when land values spiked. This wasn't just HOA tyranny, it was fraud, organized corruption, and maybe worse, I installed more cameras. One night, I caught a hooded figure slashing my tire, zoomed in, and there it was, the flash of Richard's gold Rolex. The pieces clicked. Patricia was the face, Richard was the engine, and Vance was the fuel. The next day, I looked at my reflection in that scratched F100 door and thought, I'm done being their victim. Time to go on offense. Chiffu. Act 3. Climax and Justice. I set the trap. I listed my beloved F100 online for a ridiculously low price. Within hours, I got a call from a blocked number. A man offering cash. No questions. Richard. I agreed to meet in a rented office downtown. What he didn't know was that I had the place wired with hidden cameras and mics. Louis was posted as lookout, and an old MP buddy called him S was monitoring the feeds. When Richard walked in, Karen was with him, all smug like nothing had happened. He carried a briefcase stuffed with cash. We sat across the table. I let them talk first. This can all go away, Richard said, sliding the briefcase forward. Sign the transfer and stop snooping. I leaned back, smirked, and dropped a folder on the table. Inside every document I'd dug up, shell company papers, bank transfers, emails with Vance. You've been running a scam, I said, and you're finished. Richard's face turned ghost white. He snatched out his phone, dialed, Arthur. We have a problem. Minutes later, Vance himself walked in. Expensive suit, fake confidence. He looked at me like I was an insect, but the cameras caught it all. Vance promising favors, Richard admitting to the scheme, and then Richard made the mistake of confessing one more thing, his backup plan. We should have cut his brake lines when we had the chance, he muttered. My blood went cold. This wasn't just fraud. They had planned to kill me. That was the breaking point. Richard lunged across the table, grabbing at my shirt. Karen shrieked and slashed at me with a letter opener. The room erupted. I shoved Richard back, chair crashing. Karen clawed at my arm, paper flying everywhere. Vance bolted for the door only to trip over one of Louis's damn gnomes we planted outside for good luck. He hit the floor hard. My buddy S stormed in, disarmed Karen, and pinned Richard. Seconds later, police who Louis had called the moment things escalated came crashing in, guns drawn, shouting. And just like that, Richard, Patricia, and Councilman Vance were cuffed. Final beat. The fallout was fast. Richard got 15 years for fraud and attempted murder. Patricia got Vance lost his career and got 7. The HOA dissolved. Neighbors finally breathed again. Louis, of all people, was voted the new president. His first bylaw, leave each other alone. I spent the next week fixing the scratches on my truck's paint. As I buffed the chrome, I thought of Jake, how he'd laugh at the idea of me outmaneuvering crooks with spreadsheets and cameras instead of fists. Final line lesson. When bullies hide behind rules, the only way to beat them is with truth. And when the truth lands, their empire shatters.